Besides its own world.
You're listening to the PT Pinecast, where smart people in healthcare come to make noise. Here's your host, Jimmy McKay.
All right, we've done live streams before. We're gonna do something a little different here. I mean, you could tell. Usually I have a guest, so they're like close to the screen. But let's introduce ourselves and where you are geographically, because like I think that and like what type of room you're in. Paint the picture for everybody right now. Sean, you go first.
So I'm Sean. I'm the owner of STROOPS. I design all the products. We actually manufacture here in the United States. We can talk about design stuff, but we actually manufacture in the back room. We do elastic resistance. We do metal fabrication, sewn goods, screen printing, and we have a new division where we do wood fabrication, like for wobble boards, rocker boards, and storage kind of stuff. So my background is actually in athletics, played Division I football, academic All-American, and I've been designing and manufacturing fitness and rehab products since, before 2000, so about 25, 30 years.
Perfect. And who's with you?
And we're in Utah. Clearfield, Utah, about 25 minutes north of Salt Lake City.
All right, who's with you?
Hi, I'm Allie Purdy, and I am a trainer. I've been training for about, 15 plus years, but I've been working with STROOPS probably since 2016, 2017. But I train here at the facility here at STROOPS headquarters, and I do different programming here and use some of the equipment for marketing purposes or just test out the new equipment for research and development.
Understood. So it feels like STROOPS is sort of a place that people in exercise hope their idea would want. You know, there should have been a thing. How come they don't make a thing? And you're the sort of guy who goes, okay, I got it. Hold my beer. And then you're over in the shop.
Yeah, so the people come to me and say, hey, Sean, can you create this cool thing? So I create the cool thing. And since Allie's teaching the classes, multiple classes a week, probably 5 to 10 classes a week, we throw it out on the gym floor with Allie, and this is the gym floor that we're in. Behind all the walls of the manufacturing, so we have a showroom. So we give them to Allie, and I say, hey, this is this cool new widget that we think is really awesome. Can you test it out to see if it works and see if the clients like it? So we can basically take the product from concept, design it, manufacture it really quick, bring it out, have a test, and we can do that in a day or two.
That's wild. So it's like you're that part in the Tom Hanks movie Big where they test all the toys on the kids. You're like, we think it's going to be cool.
I get to play with toys all day, which is so fun.
All right. So this is meant to be something we're new testing out. People are now doing more and more shopping or thinking about things online. And if it's live and interactive, why wouldn't you do that with these small little devices that can go live from anywhere to anywhere? So my sort of pitch for the audience is, if you've ever looked at a rack, like the ones in the wall, we're going to get into this, behind those guys, and thought that looks cool, but I don't know if I need one, if I do or don't, or what kind, this is for you. It's not even for them. It's for me, because I am building a basement gym, and I'm like, I need a rack. And Sean's like, why? And I'm like, I don't know, because I see videos and people have racks. This is meant to have Sean talk me out of it. Unless he can't, that means I've found the right one. So first and foremost, why'd you build this way instead of other ones? You've looked at other racks before you went and built one. Why do your racks, you've got 2 different models behind you. What do these racks do? Why'd you build them this way and not like other people?
So we're going to bring you over there a little bit
and
just kind of show you why. Is this the camera that's working?
Yep, I got you.
So I don't know, can I flip the camera around as we try to experiment all this stuff?
You can. Okay. And just turn it sideways so we get a wider picture.
Does this work?
Bingo.
I was trying to figure out how to do it so I don't have to look at myself when we watch Allie.
Tough, you're stuck looking at yourself.
It doesn't, my camera's not. So anyway, we're going to do it this way. Can you see me?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to do it this way. There's Allie. So this particular rack, one of the questions we had first is someone said, hey, can you build a rack that fits in my garage? And, you know, because a lot of the racks are bigger. Like, so this is kind of a small, we'll talk about it first. It's small profile. You see, Allie's going to show you how far away from the wall it is. It's only about 20 inches away from the wall. And so I wanted to do something that would mount to the wall, and I could do all this cool stuff that we wanted to do on it, which we'll talk about in a second. the difference between that one and this one over here, this is a freestanding one, and this is more of a traditional type one you'd find in the club because they can't attach really to the walls. One of the negatives about this one is you really have to have all the weights on the back, or else it's over, or else you have to bolt it to the ground here. So then you have to drill into your concrete on your floor in your house, and not everybody wants to do that. So we'll start first off going back to the main gym over here where Allie's at. And one of the things I wanted to be able to do is try to figure out I can do as many things as I possibly can in a small area. So the first thing everyone wants to be able to do is do an Olympic bar. So you can simply drop an Olympic bar on the J-hooks. I'm going to kind of pull the pop pin. I'm going to switch over to Allie. So you pull the pop pin and you slide it up to any height that you want. So this will work like an Olympic bar. I'm like, yay, great. You can actually step into it or on the outside. Generally speaking, we do on the outside. But if we were to have a bench, you have enough room to put your head underneath the rack. I don't have the bench right. So if you put your head on the other side in the bench press, you have enough room to stand there, but you don't have enough room to spot. But usually people at the house don't have spotters. But I can show you there's different ways we can do this. You can do spot. Can you stand on the inside?
I have this at my house in my garage, and so I'll spot my husband behind it. So I can spot.
Okay, there's room for your spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And usually if you're doing spot from a squat on this side, then you just stand behind you. Okay? So I wanted to be able to do that. I wanted to be able to store all my stuff on my rack. And so what we found out, or I designed this, so you can see on top there is a stability ball. But I'm going to move a little bit closer as Allie goes. You're going to see right up in there, there's a little trough.
I can get it.
You have to,
here's the test.
You stand on that. But you put the medicine balls up on the top, so you can store medicine balls, stability balls. Well, then a lot of the other things we want to do is most racks only allow you to use Olympic weights. Well, one of my favorite things to do is to do cable machine work because I can work at different angles. So what we've done is we've actually attached little ears or appendage things. I call these ears. I don't know what else fancy word to call them. But you put one on each side, and you're able to then connect your elastics to it.
Shon.
I don't know, got someone calling me. Sheesh. Okay, can you still see me? Or did I lose you?
You lost me.
Gosh.
That's all right. Take your time. Hey, do this, Shon. Can you bring the laptop closer to where you're standing? This because the audio is coming out of the laptop. I want to make sure everybody can hear you. Perfect. There we go. That's perfect. That's great.
Okay, I'm gonna have to log back in.
Okay, log back in. Let me just throw some questions your way as you're going through these things.
Sure. Go ahead.
Let's start with the mistake. What most people think they need. We had a 28-second conversation because you make squat racks, and I was like, hey, I'm going to get one, but do you have, this was my question. It was my real question last week. I was like, but I want one that you can fold out and it folds back into the wall. And you go, why? And I said, because I saw a video online and it looked cool. Why was I asking the right question, but for the wrong reason?
Well, the concept is really cool. A folding up rack is really cool. They'll put a hinge on it, the front and back and a couple other spots. And what you end up having to do is pull the pin and then you fold the rack more flat against the wall. And then when you're ready to use it, you unpin it and then you bring it back to the front.
Right.
So the concept is really cool. However, in order to put a pin in and out, you have to have a little bit of a gap, which means that your rack's going to be sloppy. Okay? The other thing so if you want to get rid of the sloppy, then you really have to have some kind of a tightening mechanism, let's say nut and bolt. Well, then you want to have to take a wrench every time you want to do it to loosen everything up to then flatten it back out. And I don't know about you, but the majority of my time, I don't want to sit and do hardware, folding up and back. I'm like, I'm going to put it in place. I don't want a rickety rack. I want to be able to put it in place and have it go. So I then say, why in the world do you have a rack that folds up? Now, I can imagine if you had a really big rack, kind of like over here, and it's standing out in the middle of your room, like, I've got to get rid of some of this space. I need the space. But if I have a rack that's really cost effective or floor effective, then I'm not worried about this space. I can now bolt it all together nice and secure it to the wall. I don't have to worry about it collapsing and then resetting it back up. So, and then the other thing is, we just talked about before we started, you have an adjustable bike seat, but you adjust it once and then you never change it.
Yep.
Right.
I have adjustable shelves in my house. And once I put the dishes in, when we first moved in, we adjusted it to match all of our stuff. And then we've never changed it.
Right.
And so we have all these adjustable things, but we never adjust them because it's not worth the time and effort. Usually on those other ones, you might have to climb up on a stool or a plow box, make the adjustments. So you spend 15, 20 minutes to set it, fold it back up and fold it back down. It's rickety. The concept is really cool, but the practicality, no one's going to use it.
Understood. Now, as soon as you said that halfway through your explanation last week, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Listen, by adding that functionality of being able to fold up, which I'm probably never going to do anyway, you're actually making it a little more rickety. It's removing the reason for having a sturdy rack. You want durability. If you need that, which I don't, if you had a completely tiny rack, or sorry, a space that you were going to be in, that would be a good idea. All right, more questions coming your way.
Okay.
What problem does a rack actually solve? Number one, I mean, it holds weights. I'm going to be able to do I'll be able to hold the bar. I'm going to be able to grab the bar from an elevated position. You've got pull-up bar. I imagine it's not one thing that it solves.
Yeah, so a rack generally is designed to do Olympic weights. That's the number one feature. And very few other racks are designed to store anything. Very few racks, some will have a crossbar, let's say a 3" by 3" crossbar that's square. And it's like, well, that's great, but I'm not going to chin up on it. So what's the use of that? So the primary use for them is to do Olympic weightlifts. And you can do deadlifts and everything else. But with ours, you can actually put the monkey bars on, so you can do monkey bar training. You can attach your elastics different heights. There's all different places to grab on to do chin-ups and pull-ups. And then you can use it as a storage rack too. And then on top of that, as we were just about ready to show with Allie, when we attach the elastics to different heights on the J-hook, so there's no one else who has a J-hook that'll move that you attach to your elastic resistance piece. So I don't know if I'm doing this.
I can see you.
You can see me.
David is online asking if that's Bruce Willis. I think he has you confused with
we
John
actually
McKay.
told that I'm supposed to change my name to Bruce Tillis, is what someone said I should go with. I want this so I can get out of how do I switch the cameras?
So this is your skin.
Should be like a spin around button on the bottom right.
Yeah, this is our techie world of, I think this thing, usually it's right here, but truth about.
That's all right. Just turn it this way. Just flip it away from you. We'll point and shoot. Hey, Shon, who is this rack not for? Who do you hope doesn't buy this rack because it'll be a mistake?
So I wouldn't use this rack. There's a couple question marks. Okay, the top of the rack, right here, is just under 8 feet tall. So if you have a short roof, a small house,
This part right here.
yeah, the top of that is just under 8 feet. So if you want to put monkey bars, this doesn't work in that kind of house. So if you have a small space, not super ideal. The other one is if you're not using Olympic weights. For instance, when we do physical therapy facilities, in a physical therapy facility, we're going to show you the spine a little bit.
Yep.
So in a physical therapy facility, they may or may not want to use Olympic weights. And if you don't want to use Olympic weights, then we have another product right behind Allie, and it's called a spine. So this spine has it's a metal beam with a series of rings every 6 inches. So this one, you simply connect the elastic to at any height that you want, and then you can do your exercise off of this. So if I have a house and I'm like, you know what, I don't really want to do Olympic weights in my basement. Olympic weights are just not for me. Then I wouldn't spend the money on a rack. I would I just want to do simple elastic resistance exercises off of a wall. then using the spine, you show how quickly it is to adjust the height, Allie.
Yeah.
So if you want to quickly adjust the height, you just pop it off and you attach it to any other location that you want. So if you want to do whatever movements you want, so she's showing how quickly this to change. So I could quickly change from belt to handle. And so now if I didn't want Olympic weights, because maybe, like me, I don't do Olympic weights hardly anymore because I am not into hurting my shoulder. I just don't need to show off anymore. It's not my thing. So I'll use elastic resistance. So I don't need the squat rack that much. So if you don't have this, if you're not interested in Olympic weights in your facility, and you have a shorter space, then I probably wouldn't go with the performance station, which is that one over there. But if all I want to do is elastic resistance, hands down, I would go with the spine. It's just a way simpler solution.
Understood.
And then what you do with that, you get single to change heights. And then if I need the storage aspect of this rack, then I would get what we call our equipment storage rack right here. I put them side by side. These racks right here look like chin-up racks. They can be moved down. So I can now store anything I want right next to my performance station. And we have a couple other storage options too that are not as big. But it just combines everything else. So Olympic weights over here and unlimited ceiling. I do need about 8.5 feet. And then that's pretty much it. If not, I just go with this one to do elastic resistance. And there you go. And that's storage built in. That has the storage as a secondary piece.
Shon, what do most gyms get wrong? What do most either gyms or people like me who are like, yeah, I'll throw together a gym. Where do we screw up? What are the blind spots we don't see until we've either over purchased or built ourselves into a corner?
So one of the things that, if you go to most gyms that I go to, one of the most popular areas are a bench press area, or and then the secondary one is a high-low pulley. And so in a high-low pulley environment, the only other way people are doing high-low pulley attachments, they usually don't even think about how to use it with the squat area. Most people don't know how to convert it, so they really end up with the gym without a high-low pulley. And there's so many things you can do with...
So many pulling motions.
Yeah, because it doesn't depend on gravity. When you put the elastics in here, you almost like a really low-cost high-low pulley system, where this forces here that she's pushing off here has nothing to do with gravity. It'd be very similar to have a stacked pulley system. You can buy a stacked pulley system, which is another alternative to it, but it's a lot more pricey than a series of bands. In addition to that, I'm going to have Ali show a speed movement. Now, what I mean by speed movement is that if I was to go do this, and you see people at the gym do this all the time, show myself here, show myself there. I see people do this all the time, and what they do is they will use we'll just do like a chest press, okay? Or even you can do a chest press. So usually, if you start incorporating speed in a high-low pulley movement, people have stacks and stacks of weights, and then they push really hard, and you'll see those stacked weights go flying up and then crash back down, and just totally messes up the high-low pulley. So if she does a slow press, so this is very traditional. Hey, just a slow press. You could do lay on your back and do a slow press, except in this case, she's standing up, having to engage the core and the glutes and everything else. But if she wanted to do some fast movements, like pushing somebody or boxing, show a little box, and she's going really fast, pop, 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 pop. If you're doing this with a high-low stack pulley, the thing is just the stack plates are just bouncing all over the place, beating the crap out of the machine. So if you want to include speed in your training and you want a really low-cost, high-low pulley system, this is way, way, way better to go.
Can I say something too? Yeah. One thing that I do love about this is not only for speed, but I have clients who have heart issues because they range from ages of like 40 all the way up to 73. And a couple of them can't lay flat. So bench presses are out of the box. certain things that you can't, like sit up that she can't do. So she can do bench press standing. So now you take something she normally couldn't do, and now she can do it.
Yeah.
Or sit-ups, she can't do sit-ups, but she can do rotational movements. So it can really go not only for speed, but for people who maybe do struggle with their hearts or different issues. So it's really amazing.
So another thing to talk about is look at the high-low pulley system on this. If I do a high-low pulley, we'll keep the elastic resistance connected. We'll just do a one-arm press kind of thing for a second. But if I use a high-low pulley and I wanted to change the weight, let's say I'm doing let's say I do a set of 5, okay. And then you say, let's pretend we'll demonstrate the difference. Okay. So let's say she's doing 5, and she says, okay, I'm now tired, I'm ready to do the next set, I want to add to 10. If she has a pin, she has to go back to the machine, she has to pull the pin out, drop it to the next location, and then walk back out and do her movement. However, in this case, she does 5, and then she just simply stretches the band further, and then she gets the resistance at a higher level. If she gets fatigued, she just moves it back, and she goes to make it lighter. If she wants to make it much more difficult, then she can just pair them up, and then she does it maybe beginning of like, oh, okay, this is where I want a little more difficult. She steps a little further away, and she can do it by fractions of pounds, just slowly changing, instead of going back and forth to the pin and changing the pin height up and down, round and round. It just becomes obnoxious, and it takes a lot of time. So,
Shon, can you get closer to the straps? This wasn't what I was planning, but I want people to see what the straps look like and why they're not maybe what people are traditionally thinking. Like, show them like the texture and why and then just briefly explain. You explain this to me. Why is it covered in something?
Let me explain this. I'm trying to look for a naked tubing band.
And then see if we can get that laptop to come a little closer. Maybe put the laptop on the plyo boxes there.
Well, there's one in my office that's all got nasty. All the research and development. If you tell me how close you want to go.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I just want to make sure. But in the future, we'll get you all mic'd up. We're just winging this one on first, but I like it. Learning a lot.
Okay, so Allie's gonna get. She's went to the other room to get some elastic band tubing stuff. I don't know if I've got some in the other room, but I'm gonna set my other little piece here. I don't know if you can see me over there, but anyways, so inside of, Allie's gonna get this. So get a sample of basically a piece of tubing. Can you see me here? So in this tubing here, basically there's an elastic band on the inside, a really, really, really high end one. And we can go into that if you want to, because elastic is not the same. You can get really garbage elastic that's has no memory to it, doesn't stretch very well, doesn't come back to its original size, breaks pretty easy. So we use the highest quality elastic on the inside. And what we wanted to do, what's happening is that as people do their exercises, one of the things that they don't know when to do is like, oh, this is nice, but they keep going further and further away. And when do they stop? They don't know how far they could stretch the band before it breaks. And so with the sleeve on the outside, you have an automatic stop. You can't overstretch it. Yeah, that'll work. Perfect. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about. My phone is right over there. So this is what I'm talking about. This is the band. This is a traditional band. You guys have all seen these traditional band stuff before. And you can stretch it, but what you can't see is how far can I keep stretching before it breaks? Well, no one knows, and they get nicks and cuts in them. And if you go look at almost anybody's bands, especially if they've been used out on the gym floor for a while, there you got nicks and cuts. And every one of those nicks and cuts is just a disaster waiting to happen. So no one knows when it's going to break. So we've put a sleeve on the outside. Now I'll show you a different one. The other one too, you have a flat band. We're going to go, we're just shooting this from the hip, so it's all fun. So you've seen flat bands, and flat bands have the same issue. You don't know when to stop stretching. However, this band quality is not super, super high, because as you start to pull it about right here, it acts like a rope. You almost like can't stretch it. So you have kind of a smooth stretch, and it gets really more difficult, and you can't go any further. Whereas our bands are like here, and I'm stretching. I can go way further, probably 2 or 3 times more than this. So if you want a greater range of motion, you got to have a higher quality band. That's where we use the sleeved elastic. And it's all about the material on the inside, the chemical composites of the elastic and how it's made, etc. The flat bands tend not to stretch very far. And when they do, of course, they get nicks and cuts just like round band. Eventually they break. So our objective was, we want to create a band that I'm not worried about getting flipped in the face. So this will stretch, and it has a guaranteed stop. You can't overstretch it. It protects from the nicks and cuts as you wrap around different things. The other favorite that everybody has is when you wrap this stuff around your ankles or arms, it pulls the hair and pinches the skin and feels really nasty. This one protects against that. And all elastics wear out in sunlight. Doesn't matter which elastic you have. So it'll wear out in sunlight. You leave this outside, they deteriorate really quickly. We put a cover on it so it kind of has a permanent shape. Yeah. So these things last way, way, way longer, and they built in safety. The number one thing is usually the bands will break somewhere in the middle because people stand on them, or near the end because there's a faulty thing here. When that happens, I'm having Allie stand on this side. We're basically playing chicken. When mine breaks or hers, when mine breaks on my side, it's going to go get her. If it breaks on her side, it's going to get me. If we split in the middle, we're both going to get hit. Yeah. Okay, so you can play chicken if you want with your friend, or you can use this elastic, and you don't have to worry about if it ends up breaking inside, it just coils up, and we're like, get a new one. So that's the reason why this looks different than this. In addition to that, if you're into aesthetics and value, let's say you have a nice club, you have a nice physical therapy clinic, right? The appearance and value of this is substantially lower than this.
Yep.
So does that answer your question?
Let me ask you this one.
Okay.
What are some of your happiest customers or people who've had this for 3, 6, 9, 12 months? What do they typically rave about? Maybe things they didn't think that they would be so excited about it when they got it.
I think the number one thing we get feedback is how smooth and consistent they are. They're really, I mean, if you put them side by side, and I'm going to do this quick, these bands are about the same length. So what they say is that the traditional flat bands, they only stretch for a certain distance, and you can feel it. Say I'm here and I'm pushing this thing. I mean, I don't really want to go much further than about that. So I've almost done a little mini chest press. So if I take the same elastic, and I have about the exact same length. Okay, so if you go all the way back from here to the anchoring spot to here, I'm gonna cheat, or not cheat, I'm gonna take the handle off so I have the same size. I'm gonna grab this one. Remember, this one only went out to about right there, and then we stop. This one, I'm going out to here. Yeah. So this whole range of motion is super smooth and easy, has a slight gradual resistance. So the range of motion, how smooth it is way better than these. And they last tons longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had someone call and said, hey, our first one broke after 7 years. Yeah. I had another one say, it's been yours have been 10?
Mine's 10 years, and I think I had one break. I think it was last year was the first time I had one break.
Yeah, we've had, Allie, I don't know how long you've been teaching in this facility. 4 years. I think she's probably had 2 or 3 break.
Yeah, not very many.
And that's with in a whole gym.
Yeah. Dave he's watching live right now. He pointed out that, man, could you get hurt if a band snaps? He points out the Colts backup quarterback had that recently, had an eye injury. Like it sounds like ridiculous, but when I had a big rubber band break yesterday, hit me in the face last night in my basement because I think it just got dried out.
Oh yeah, they dry out and they say, we just check them. They never check them. I went to a college one time and said, hey, let's go talk about the difference between our bands and yours. We brought a whole handful of them. Every one of them was dehydrated and had been cut or because they wrapped around things or overstretched. Every one of those things create little micro cracks. And we have the little micro cracks. It's almost like taking a piece of paper and you kind of start with a rip in it. And when you pull on it, it's like, oh, just instantly rips.
Yeah.
So I can get all the theoretical philosophies, the physics of that. We don't want to do that today.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they last a lot longer.
And when it pops, it just pops inside of it.
Yeah.
So like the times that we've had it pop in class, it's usually when we're doing a fit stick, like very active movement. And it'll kind of like, oh, you'll hear it, and then it'll just stay within the sleeve, and then you just unhook it, you get a new one, and you keep going. But it really is like you're safe. It really does pop inside the sleeve.
So one of the things people have asked me, and maybe one of your clients are going to ask the same. Someone said, well, if that's the case of the bend, if the bend breaks inside, can I just take apart the sleeve and put it back together? And I says, if we remove it, it's kind of like, and every guy knows this, if you have a table saw, the first thing you do is you take the safety guard off. It's like, okay, it's covering the blade, you should have it, but like, no, I can't get my sawing done, so I'm just going to take it off the throat. So if we make it removable, someone's going to remove it, and then we have the liability. So we just put it in there so it permanently stays on, and there's no optional removing, and you just get to know it, especially if they last a couple of years. Yeah. They're not very expensive.
All right, Shon, back to the rack, right? That's the focus. I got sidetracked.
All right.
What questions should someone be asking if the question is the one I have on the screen? Should you be buying a squat rack or not? What are the right questions for people like me to be asking?
Will it fit?
Well, should you?
Yeah.
I said the first one, should I buy a squat rack or should I not? Number one thing I'm going to look at is, do I have space?
Yeah.
If I don't have space for it, then I don't. The other one is cost. A lot of me like say, I can just go to the gym. And if I go to the gym, then they get a squat rack. I don't have to pay. I pay, certain dollars a month that I can use it, but it's more convenient home. The other one is, are you going to use Olympic weights? Most people, if they're not super trained, they're not going to be super effective with Olympic weights.
Well, it's like, what are you using the rack for, right?
Right.
Are you gonna be lifting? Are you going to be doing squats? Are you going to be doing bench? If you're not going to be doing that, then that's when you probably question it. But a lot of my clients, they love doing the pull-ups on this. That's
right.
Probably their favorite, because you can do.
I'll pull this.
Because with this one, if they can't perform a pull-up, all you have to do is your resistance. You can add it here. You can also add it over the top, but it's a simple just step on.
Oh, wow. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So a lot of my clients love the idea of this, because then they can do a pull-up, because a lot of my female clients have a hard time doing the pull-up. So
yeah, there's I can show you some other tricks too. And Allie doesn't have it set up. We can actually use the upper bar. I'm going to kind of bring it over here. Allie, I want you to come over here for this is the body weight gym, the tan pieces right here. Okay. I know this is kind of a crazy situation. We're going to move it. So,
give it to me.
Okay, you hold this. I have this. So a lot of times people don't have a partner that they can work out with. Okay?
Right.
And so one of the things that's kind of scary is if you're doing squats or doing some heavy lifts and no one's there to back you up. So I'm going to steal the Olympic bar over here. If you need to move the main one, you can.
No, you're good.
So I'm trying to teach Allie what I'm trying to think here, because I don't think I've ever shown her how to do
I
this.
don't think so either.
So if I put these, make them go wider, you'll get the concept here. But if I put these, either like a TRX lifting TRX strap, but if I had this set up a little bit wider, this bar is like, oh, I can't lift it. I go down and do my squat. I have a safety catch. Can you see this, or you can't see it at all?
We got it.
Okay, I have a safety catch. So if I was to set up these straps and I had them on my bar to kind of stop myself, I could do a safety catch by myself. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to do heavy lifts and you don't know what you're doing with an Olympic bar, it's pretty scary. And so You know, if you're used to use chest press, okay, great. But to me, you're going to want to either work with a trainer or have played high school sports or college sports to understand how to lift weights, or else you're going to get yourself in big trouble.
Yep.
And if you don't know what you're doing, I just think it's a recipe for disaster to just do a squat rack with just an Olympic bar. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, Allie, you think the same thing, or you train more? Because I'm a random consumer. But if I'm a random consumer just trying to grab an Olympic bar, I don't think.
No, I mean, I think
it
it depends on the age. I think it depends on the age of the person. I don't know.
If you're a beginner,
probably I would make sure to get training for sure before you learn how to before you squat. You really should put a bar on your back unless you know what you're doing. End of story.
Yeah, I just think Olympic weights are a couple steps more advanced. Once so I would start. Me, if I'm going to start my workout world, I'm going to start it with either elastics or dumbbells.
Yeah, absolutely, probably.
Those are the more conservative ones.
Yeah.
And then I would move the step up from elastics and dumbbells. Dumbbells are always gravity based, and elastics, most of the time you see stuff, you just step on them and you do a movement which is kind of gravity based. But to be able to pull from different angles, like a high-low pulley system, is kind of the next level up before I go to the Olympic lifts. But once I got Olympic lifts, almost every rack out there only allows you to do Olympic lifts. They don't do storage. They don't do chin-up racks. They don't have high-low pulleys on the sides for your elastics. So if you want everything all combined in one, this is the good solution to do. If it's not, and then you have to keep adding on stuff because you have to add on a bunch of other things. I think this with a adjustable bench.
Yeah, this is what I have in my gym. So in my garage gym, I have this with all the elastics and all the attachments. And I do have a spine. So I do have a spine on the other wall because I do like to have the length of my garage where I can do a son of the beast if I so choose. And I do like the really high anchor point on this and the very low.
So do you use a bench at all?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So you basically have this rack system
in my garage
with a bench.
Yep.
And the benches I've found, I can actually fold up against the wall.
Yeah, we slide the bench in so it's out of the way.
I've had some where I can just tip it up so it's.
You can do that too.
And then that's back to the reason why I designed this in the first place. Someone said I want to be able to get my car into my garage.
Yeah, I have a tiny garage, so yes. Ours says it's a 2-car garage, but I really think it's more of a 1 because we can't even fit my truck in there. So this is in my garage.
So do you put it on the side?
It's on the side. Nope, it's on the side.
So yeah, I designed it so it fit really snug against the side, so your car could drive in and you can get access to it on the left and right side.
It's right next to my fridge, so I can grab a drink in between my sets. It's perfect.
Yeah. All right, Shon, if there's a clinic owner out there, what are the clinic owners looking for? Because I feel like a clinic owner is going to be different than someone who is going to put this in their garage. What are their sort of non-negotiables if you're going to put this in your clinic?
So a clinic will do a couple different things. Let's go back to the basic clinic. Almost every clinic has an elastic resistance.
Correct.
Okay. So most beginning facilities will go with a spine. Okay. Most of them will stay with the spine because they can catch at any height they want. And you say, okay, well, why would I want to go from a spine where I can catch at any height that I want over to this? So now you basically do your spine movements. You do upper body, lower body, attach the ankle. So why would I want, if I'm a clinic owner, why would I want to go to this performance station? Okay, number 1 is if I want to use Olympic weights. Okay, number 2, chin-up bars, but I'm looking at even something more basic. So I'm going to have Allie put a band on the left and right at about ear level high. Okay. And then I'm going to have you get a plyo box.
Okay.
Now there's a bunch of different ways to do this.
How high?
Right there at an 18-inch. So what we're going to do, that's 12. It's okay. So we're going to sit right there in front. We're going to sit right there in front.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do is I'm going to have this elastic, connect the elastic here to here. And I'm going to have this go under your armpits. And I'm going to have you lift yourself out of the chair.
Oh, I see. So you're doing it this way?
No, behind your back. So we could actually attach the elastics to a higher position. So one of the things I want to do is to teach my client how to get out of a chair. So I can either put this under her armpits, okay? An alternative way to do this is I can actually wrap this around. If you take that off and give yourself a clip them together, or use the handle. Bring it over, clip it together. And I'll just she could attach a handle here if she wants, or she's just going to use that as a handle and go ahead and sit. And she could sit, and then she can help pull herself up to learn how to stand. So the way this is set up, either attaching slastics to this height or to this, we actually have harnesses that go around her chest or under her legs to help sit up. But this way they can offset or assist somebody to lift. So we can do an offload.
Yeah, I was gonna do an offload.
Okay.
For a push-up?
Oh yeah. So she'll do an offload on a push-up here.
Oh, you can do it.
There's lots of different ways.
I know. Which way do you want to do it?
Whatever. So basically this allows for offloading, Olympic weight stuff, and also remember storage. If not, you've got to store something somewhere else. So if I'm a clinician, do I want to use Olympic weights? Do I want to offload? Do I want to store everything all together? And minimal space. The other thing you can do is, because we have a J-hook on both left and right, you could actually use 2 stations.
Yeah.
For a him and her or 2 other people. So
I need to be lower.
we could double it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically you can double up the bands. There's a bunch of other stuff you can do, but there's a bunch of different ways to offload or assist in your lifts.
You can even do it for like squatting.
Yeah.
If you needed. So here. Or lunges, it's going to be an assist up.
So you have an assist up. You could also attach them lower.
Yeah, you can.
And then if we reattach, keep that belt on where it's at, we'll just move these to a lower position.
How long?
Just all the way down. And so now you're doing, let's say, a lunge, but you have resistance as you go through your lunge. So if I'm a physician, I would use this for those reasons I tell you. Minimal space, storage, Olympic weights, offloading.
That's an assist.
That's an assist, but if I flip it the other direction,
If I go this way.
I want to do this, and I'll do lunge, and then I want to push back.
Ooh, so I'm going to go this way.
Yeah. So my least favorite one, go a little bit further back, and I'll take your left foot and move back. Go left foot back. Keep all the way down to the lunge position, and then just do a butt kick with this.
A butt kick?
Yep. Kick your butt.
Oh,
Here.
a plant.
No, I want you all the way up, all the way back, pivot, touch your butt.
What?
Yeah, here, pop. Here, pop. Here, pop. It's pretty nasty. We're getting into some training, but
Yeah.
side stuff. But does that answer your question?
It does. Now, what does an athlete notice first? I mean, they're probably looking at it from a different angle. So somebody like me, again, the weekend warrior who's like, I want a rack. What do you need? I don't know. Make it pretty.
So the other rack, this is not the rack for super strong He-Man. If you're going to be in here benching 500 pounds, if you're benching squatting 700 pounds, or if you're that guy that likes to throw his weights. You all seen everybody that, seen people at the gym that have to drop and grunt to make sure everybody in the gym saw what they were lifting. If that's your style, these J hooks and this piece is not designed to have people abuse it. I would not use this at a college. I would not use this at a high school. Because those guys are throwing lots and lots of weight. This is designed for a home use, average normal person, physical therapist, small boutique gym. So Allie, since she's watching people here, then she doesn't have a problem. But if you had a bunch of high school kids that were digging around without any supervision, then they do stupid stuff. And so, for a high-end guy, if you're here to throw as much weight as you can, strongman competition, that's not this rack. Okay, we can get you to some other racks, but that's not this one. Yep. So, normal people, I probably say, as long as you're not dropping heavy weights on it, it should handle 300-400 pounds.
How many pieces of equipment, if you had to estimate? I remember I saw a famous picture of the iPhone, and it showed a Walkman and a calculator and da-da-da-da-da. Essentially, it was saying this thing is replacing X number of pieces of equipment. So for that footprint, how many, ballpark it, try to estimate on the fly, how many pieces of equipment are you replacing?
For sure, a squat rack.
Yeah.
For sure, 2 high-low pulley systems. For sure, some offloading. For sure, multiple different storage devices or things. Depends on what if you wanted to get crazy and say you want to compare this to cable machines that do one movement, like you have a pec deck or a chest press,
right?
Then you get to the hundreds.
Yeah, there's so many different movements.
If you do leg press, there's tons of. If you want to do those more cable specific products, then you're in the hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it depends on what you want to compare it to.
Okay. And then attachments, like for a landmine or something like that.
We do have.
Can we find it?
We do have one. We don't make it readily available, but we do have one where we attached it to it before. We have.
Because I mean, really, that's the base. Now you're going to get, like you mentioned, the spine. You're going to be able to attach to this, so it feels like that's your sort of core piece that you're able to build off of and modify from, instead of having to buy separate pieces.
Yeah. So I mean, we do have attachments for landmines. We don't make them readily available because we don't have a high demand for them. And what we do, a lot of the movements that you can do with a landmine, we can mimic other ways.
Understood.
So
Okay.
it's like, okay, we did come up with, I think in that room over there, Allie, is that gyro grip?
Yep.
I did invent a new product though, which I thought was
Of course you
cool, since you're talking about landmines. I'm gonna, by the way, David's watching, he's like giving me props, making me get distracted while we're having this conversation.
Okay, I got it.
Can you still see my portable thing or my camera?
No, the phone, somebody probably called you. The phone tapped out.
This one?
Yeah, so that touches to the Olympic bar.
Yeah.
All these fun little setups. So is that the landmine right there
Yeah.
attached?
It's like the side, but it'll work.
So we developed, I don't know if you can see Allie here,
Yep.
developed a cool little attachment that allows you to do 360 rotations. So I don't know if you can see the handle.
Can you see? Oh.
Go on. Yeah, just do a row. Facing me with the right hand. So if she's doing a row here, she can actually, instead of just doing that kind of row, she can actually rotate her
So I
wrist
can go
just
this way?
from here and just,
Or this way?
all right, spin that. And then she can switch it over the top. You can use your left hand so we can see the thing.
Which way?
It's the same press with the left, or you can do that way.
Either way.
There. We want to be able to, can you see it rotating there?
Yeah, like a universal joint.
This will allow, it's a universal joint that allows to spin around, so I can do all kinds of landmine movements. And that'll attach to any Olympic bar. And that's another product that we designed that we don't have available for anyone to buy.
So let me ask you this. Your background, obviously, we mentioned at the top of the show, but if people are just jumping in, athletics and engineering.
Yep.
When you look at things, when you look at other pieces of equipment, you can spot when things aren't put together right or they're not material. What breaks first if you try to save money and you do it wrong? On a cheap model is what I mean.
Usually what ends up happening in the rack world, usually what will happen is like if you go to, let's say a Walmart, for instance. I'm going to get my squat rack from Walmart. Usually it's made out of really thin material. The bolt holes don't always match up right. It gets really, really flimsy, and it just, so it just doesn't, the whole thing falls apart really quick. I mean, we've all had inexpensive stuff that we buy. When you buy something inexpensive, usually it doesn't last very long. The shirt, the pair of shoes. So it could be a variety of different things. So it's usually the materials are not very good, and usually the joints don't last very long, things bend. So that's probably the number one. And then elastic resistance, it's just, in terms of elastic resistance, the elastic resistance stuff is just, it's night and day, the low-cost stuff. The low-cost stuff might be made out of plastics that are similar to what I'd say would hold a six-pack together. So that's a little plastic. If you pull a little bit of plastic, it might come back a little bit, but a lot of times you stretch it and it never comes back to its original form.
Yeah, Ben jumping in, says he loves functional workouts, loves functional rehab, anything weight bearing throughout, and never had a typical gym equipment any clinic he ran. No pulleys, no plates, right? Make it movable, make it quick. If it's going to take too long, especially in a high volume clinic, if it takes too long, it's cute. You got to make sure it can be working. It can work in your workflow. What surprised you after people started using it? I mean, you had the idea for the rack and then you put it out there, but then there's this cool thing called the internet and a feedback loop. What's some of the things you started to hear from people once your equipment like this we're looking at is out in the wild?
I think the main thing they like about this is they can do so many things in one spot. That's probably the number one. And then we do have people that ask, just like you, what's the difference between the spine and the performance station? And really we go back to, if you don't want to do Olympic lifts, if you don't want to do offloading or the storage, then save yourself several hundreds of dollars and go with the spine. That's pretty much, they debate between both of those. I think if you get the performance station, again, you got basically equivalent to two spines. I have a spine on the left and a spine on the right. So I could have client A here and client B there.
Right.
I have all the offloading capabilities, everything else. One of the challenges comes with this one is not everybody has wall space to mount it to. Then you can go to the freestanding one. It's just that it just takes up the space, and I'm a bigger fan of this one because it has more applications. And usually you can reinforce a wall or something to get it to stay just fine.
Shon, if someone's still on the fence at this point, because the question, this whole thing is like, should you buy a rack or not, right? People are usually objecting for one of three reasons: price, space, or complexity. What do you usually say to those three? I mean, one, you just sort of tipped your hand, like, listen, you can buy a cheaper rack. You're just going to probably buy 4 or 5 of them in 10 years, and you might get hurt. And you might get hurt when one of them fails, right?
And you can buy a more expensive rack too.
Sure.
I mean, there's both, and usually the more expensive racks just have more robust steel on them, and they have little hooks. They have I call it like a Swiss cheese kind of a thing. So it's got a hole on all sides, which is perfectly fine. Those are awesome racks. You basically have to take the J hooks off and put them back in, so you have to move them around. But I wanted to design a rack that was aesthetically pleasing, so you can't see any of the holes on the outside. Right. So it looks a lot more attractive. Right. So I think the number one thing is you look at your budget, and you look at your experience lifting. I said, if I'm a beginner, I wouldn't start with the rack. I would start with some bands, and I'd start with some dumbbells and probably a bench. That would be me. And then as if I don't have the experience of lifting, I would probably go to a gym or to a personal trainer and learn how to do Olympic lifts before I did it.
Yep.
Because if you don't, you're going to get yourself in trouble. And most squat racks only serve one purpose, and that is to do heavy lifts of squats or benches. That's all they've done, is they just do Olympic weights. That's all they do. So if you expect to get higher functionality out of a rack, you say, I want to be able to store. Well, I want to be able to do high-low pulley. I want to be able to do this. This is about the only rack on the market that has everything all combined. As far as I know, anyone else who wants to attach an elastic to their rack, they basically take a strap and they wrap it around, and then they can pull this way. Yeah. But as soon as they start to pull up, that strap slides. Yeah. And so you can only pull 90 degrees from your bar. And it's like that person who commented, they want to have multiple functions. They want to push up, push down, lift up, lift down. You have to have something that locks it in place. And most racks don't have that feature. Okay.
You mentioned this before, but it might be hard to see from this angle. Ballpark, what's the footprint on that rack right there? If you square footage.
So is my camera working? My cell phone camera working or no?
Yep.
It is. Okay. So the floor on the ground, from there to the other side, I believe it's 40 inches to this side over here. What I do know for sure is the bolt holes at the top where it mounts to the wall. On that far left, between that bolt hole right here and the other side, that's 48 inches. So it matches up with your wood studs. So it's 48 inches wide, but the rack itself that holds the weights is about a little over 40 inches. Okay. And it sticks out 20 inches from the wall to the front of the rack. Okay. So you got 20 feet or 20 inches. So a little less than 2 feet by 4 feet. You got 8 square feet.
Yeah. That's a pretty small footprint. And then, yeah.
And the height of it is the height of the very top, I believe, or the top of the monkey bars is pretty close to about 8'4", 8'6", somewhere in there. Because I know the top of the rack before you get to the monkey bars is just under 8 feet, so it fits in an 8-foot ceiling. I designed it so most houses have a.
So that this part right here.
Yeah, that part right there is 8 feet, or just under 8 feet. It's about an inch under 8 feet because we wanted to make sure that a lot of the house codes now say you have to have at least an 8-foot ceiling in your basement.
Okay.
So that'll fit in the 8-foot ceiling basement, but the little monkey bars will stick up a little bit higher. So it's about 8'6", maybe. But in a garage, and even a small garage, you have space above.
Yeah, we have that.
Yeah.
Let's talk to Allie for just 1 second. Allie, you said you teach classes in there a couple times a week. You're probably teaching people who have some experience to no experience, and you're bringing them along for the ride. How do they approach a piece of equipment like this? That can look pretty complicated and overwhelming at first, but did they learn to love it? Did they learn to sort of understand all the different uses over a long, short time?
No, that's such a good question. And honestly, when it comes to STROOPS products, there is a learning curve, and I usually say give it that first week. And usually the learning curve comes in, I think the most with the fit stick, but then they end up loving it. And the only reason with that is how you move with the fit stick. You have to have like right side facing your anchor point, turning with it, left side facing your anchor point, face your anchor point. So they just have to learn like the lingo of it.
Yeah.
I say for sure, at first they're like, what is this? Just because they have to learn mid anchor point, and the elastics are different resistance. Like this one right here has a yellow tag on it, a label, and so that's a light. This one's red, and so this is a medium. That's 20 pounds of resistance. And so I think they learn the lingo, but I really honestly think it takes about a week for them to be like, oh, I feel comfortable. I'm starting to love this, and they keep coming back.
How about the complications of using the performance station itself?
Oh, that's simple.
So they have to learn how to do the pop pin on the back.
Yeah. That's pretty simple. You just have to pop the pin in the back when you see it. So this is like, you'll just have to pop it out and then slide it up. Usually if I'm doing, and then I always like make sure to twist it just in case when they're doing bench, just to make sure they're safe under it.
But the millions of ways to connect to it and what you can do with it, it's just unlimited.
And I mean, and it is unlimited, I think, for trainers as well, because you can kind of think up something and be like, okay, I really want to do this. And then you can implement it. And so when you come in, you're like, okay, I need you to do this. And they're like, what are we doing? But then once they get it, they love it. I mean, I haven't been in a big box gym since 2020 happened. So, this is all of my pulley systems are here. This is what we do with our pulley system. So it is definitely something you can use as opposed to a big box gym with the pulley system.
So how often do you use the Olympic weights? Just out of curiosity. You have tons of equipment around here.
In class?
In class.
Well, what do you mean, like squats in?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you teach classes every week, but how many times a week do you pull out the Olympic weights versus everything else you're doing?
Probably once or twice a week.
Okay.
But dependent on the client, some of them, like when we do squats, there's a lot of them that can't put the bar on their back, and so then they just use a weight in front, or they do it without a weight, or they bring a weight down low. So it just depends on the client. Maybe once or twice a week we bring out Olympic bars. Not Olympic lifts per se, but like as far as like hang cleans or full cleans from the floor, we're not doing that as much. We usually use dumbbells on that.
if you
Understood. All right, we got about 60 seconds left, Sean. What do you want to wrap up with? What would you and Allie give as your, we call it the parting shot. What would the last thing you'd want to leave with the audience? Again, the question, overwhelming question is, hey, like, should you buy a squat rack or no? I feel like you gave enough information where people have to be answering this for themselves for all the reasons you lifted out. What would you want to leave if that was the person you guys were both talking to? What would each of your parting shots be? The last thing you want to leave?
Like, my thing is try to get as much functionality as you can. If you want to use it for Olympic weights, high-low pulleys, storage, everything, all one combined, this is the best way to go. If all you want to do is super heavy-duty, crazy weights, then this is not the way to go. You need to get a bigger machine. But if you're in fitness, rehab, average normal person, then I would say this is everything packed into one in a super small, compact size.
Yeah, and anyone out there, when it comes to fitness is like a wide range. Find what you love, do what you love. And that's probably the best advice I can give with that. Find what you love and do what you love. Do what you love, because then you're going to keep on doing it.
Yeah, agreed.
One other thing on this, there's a lot of different ways to use this equipment. Allie's one of our trainers on our training room at STROOPS.com.
Yep.
And there are hundreds and hundreds of videos on how to use our equipment. So we don't just give you a piece of equipment, but we give you free access to our online training. So you can do follow-along workouts.
Yeah.
Or you can build your own workout.
Yeah, sounds great. All right, I appreciate you guys giving some insight. Looking forward to some more information about other pieces of equipment, other angles, because we can go deep and wide with this. Allie, Sean, appreciate the time.
Thank
All
you
right,
so much.
thanks.
That's it for this one, but we're just getting warmed up. Smash follow, send it to a friend, or crank up the next episode. Want to go deeper? Hit us at ptpintcast.com. Or find us on YouTube and socials at ptpintcast. And legally, none of this was advice. It's for entertainment purposes only. See, Keith, we read the script. Happy now?